Are you ready? Did you light the candle? Okay, let's start the ritual. Welcome to Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel. This is a space where truth gets its voice back because shame loses its power when we speak to it. Here, we don't skip the hard parts. We sit with them, and we learn to hold ourselves inside them. This podcast is ritual in audio form, a way for us to bring intention and intuition back into our everyday. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Lindsey, welcome to the podcast. We were so lucky to meet yesterday because we recorded with your partner in crime, Kelsey, for your podcast, and it was so much fun. Sometimes when I'm going on someone else's podcast who I've never met before, I get not nervous, but it just sometimes feels more superficial or surface layer just because we've never met before, but we clicked right away. We went there right away. And I loved it. I had so much fun. I could have talked to you guys for hours. So
we almost did talk for hours. It was a great episode. And I'm very, very happy to be here with you today as well.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled. So let's begin with the first question I always start off with is, what is something you wish people knew about you that you don't think many do?
One thing I wish people knew about me.
Mm-hmm.
I wish people knew, well, I don't know. Here's my problem. The problem I'm having is I'm very vocal and I actually don't think I have anything that I wish people knew about me. There are things that I will just word vomit all over people. And they're like, well, I don't know if you wanted to know that, but you do now. But I guess here's where I will kind of go with it. And I'm sure after this episode, I'll be like, what? Of course, that would have been perfect. But one thing that maybe not a lot of people do know about me is that I don't know. I didn't learn to drive till I was 24. I moved across the country when I was 20 by myself and made it work. I think anything I say would sound like a humble brag, and that's not kind of how I want it to go. But I do wish people knew that I truly do want to help them understand who they are. But I think people do. Once you meet me, I think you do know that. I hope that's kind of what I want to project. So I wish people would just understand that they are powerful and they can really make anything happen. And I am just the steward. I'm just helping you understand and discover more about yourself. I don't know if that's even a real answer, but that's all I got on the spot.
No, I love that. And it's interesting because actually one time when I asked this, someone asked it to me back, and what came up for me right away is I just really want people to know how pure my intentions are, how much I care about people and how much I want to have such a positive impact on people. So honestly,
sometimes I'll even do a self audit. Why am I so gung ho about this? And when I really dig deep, it's I know how much easier, not necessarily easier, but how much more enjoyable my life is knowing what I know about the soul, the mind, the body, I guess, just the whole enchilada of what a human is and how powerful we are, what we're capable of. And it's just so much more blissful that I just wish more people would be living that. I wish more people just understood they had an option to bite the apple of knowledge. I guess, you have an option. You're not stuck with the beliefs you have. You're not stuck with the situation that you're in. Oh my gosh, you have an option. And yes, it is hard to take a first step, but my goodness, is it much better when you're able to do that. So yeah, I guess that's what I would wish people would understand. And again, I do sometimes I'm like, why do I care so much? But I just do. Some people just care. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And did you have a moment where you had that realization that things could be different or better? And was there kind of a before and after for you?
Oh, well, that I think would be best answered if I just roll into kind of how I got to be a hypnotherapist, because I do kind of see a section of that story where there is a before and after of before I kind of got it and then after. Well, I always kind of preface this with saying like I was weird as a kid. I'm sure you were too. We all the best people in the world were weird kids. So I can only hope my kids will be just as weird as me.
Did
But
not like high school, but
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I always knew that I would be living a different experience than what I grew up in. I guess some people have kind of echoed this in their own way, but I just express it as like, I just knew. I can't explain it. I just knew. When I was a kid, I thought, oh, I'm going to be famous. I don't want to be famous. I don't want any of that. I don't want to be an actress. I don't want any of that. But in my head, with the limited like options available to a child, that's what I thought. Like, I'm going to be different. So as I grew up, I found myself in cemeteries a lot. I was always very eager to learn like what a human was, and like, as I mentioned before, like, what is this experience that we're having? What's going on? And so again, as a kid, I translated that to ghost hunting. I wanted to be a ghost hunter for a long time. And I would just like go touch the tombstones and try to figure out try to intuitively figure out how they died and like see if I could get any messages. I loved Ouija boards as a kid, loved all that kind of stuff. And so as I grew up, I started studying criminology, criminal psychology, realized very quickly that was not for me. I am not cut out for the dark. I would call it the dark side of spirituality, where it's like ghosts and like I don't even know if it would be low vibe, but I think everybody knows what I mean. I'm not cut out for that much death. Okay. And so I, around the same time after I, quit that program, I got a book from my sister called Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. If you're familiar, great. If you're not, please pick it up. He's now passed, but he was a hypnotherapist. I didn't know what a hypnotherapist was at all. He was a hypnotherapist who basically took his clients through the life between life phase. So like, if you're into reincarnation, it's at the end of your last life, you go to, the spirit realm and you decide what your next life's going to look like, with the body you're going to choose, the family that you're going to have, the kind of lessons that you're there to learn, that sort of thing. So it's very fascinating. He started out as a psychologist, and then one of his clients, he was like, let me just try hypnosis. This is like crazy stuff, but we'll just give it a try. And his client spontaneously went to like a regression. And he's like, what is going on? Like, he was the most reluctant hypnotherapist if you read about his history. But for me at the time, it checked every box that I didn't even know I had. I was like, okay, so this ticks off the spirituality stuff. It checks off the knowing more and the hunger that I have for kind of learning about humanity, I guess. And every question I had about religion and spirituality and all of that stuff just was kind of encompassed in this book. And so I couldn't get enough of it. It kind of triggered, how when you go through a life-changing event, even though you don't know that that's the event that changed your life, you find all of these like domino effect events happening where you can look back and be like, oh, that was the first domino that fell. Mm-hmm. Some of us can do that. This is a situation where I could look at that and be like, the second I picked up that book, my life changed forever, because right after that, I decided, let me go to California and learn hypnotherapy from this guy. And so that just was a whole thing. Anyway, so I go to California. I didn't learn hypnotherapy right away. I got a job because it's LA, right? And it's expensive. So I got a job and I kind of got lost in the sauce for a minute, and I was just paying bills, and found my future husband, who is a wonderful, wonderful guy. We had a couple kids. Well, after I had my first kid, I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And this is 8 years later, 8 years after I moved to LA. So hypnotherapy didn't really even enter my mind at first. And I tried, I played with an MLM. I never really signed up for it because it wasn't really my thing. I realized very quickly, I'm really good at realizing what I will not be cut out for. And I'm not able to do that for the long haul. But once I tried a couple things, I knew I didn't want to go back to a 9-to-5 or like a retail job, because I wanted to be with my son. I was a new mom, and the thought of dropping him off at daycare was just not, for me, not going to be an option. And I know that other people have different experiences. This was mine. I just knew that there was a way to figure it out. I just needed to figure out what that way was. And finally, in my brain, I asked myself really what it was I asked myself, what do I like? Let's start there. What do I like? And it took me a really long time to even get there. Like, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? And I immediately thought of hypnotherapy, and this like sparkle came back, and I was like, remember that? Remember when you read this book and you moved to California to learn this and then you never did it? Remember? And then I got excited and then immediately was like, oh, wait, but that's risky. You're a mom now. You have to be responsible. You're supposed to be, making money kind of immediately because your husband's the only one working right now. And all these reasons came flooding in, and my shoulders kind of slumped, and I kind of, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, fine. But then I heard a little tiny whisper voice that was like, and this is actually this is true. I've told this story many times, so it sounds like I'm just telling a story, but this is actually how it happened. There was a tiny whisper of a voice that said, but hang on, why can't you? And it was so quiet, but it perked my ears up, and I was like, you know what? Why can't I? Everybody who's ever done anything cool had to start right here, where they're like, should I do the same thing I've always done? Or should I just take a leap of faith because it makes me excited, happy, passionate? It lights me up. What's so wrong about following that? And so I just made a call. I said, what if I just start small? We'll just take one baby step. We'll make a call. We'll see what happens. And then the next day, because they had just started a new semester at this institute, not the Michael Newton Institute, I didn't end up going there. I went to one that was closer to where I lived, which was in Tarzana, California. And it's great. It's great. I can't say enough good things about it. I have gotten so many people into this school because they're like, where did you study? I want to learn this. And I'm like, go to this school. I promise you won't regret it. So if anyone's interested, just message me on Instagram. I'll tell you all about it. But I ended up going there the next day for a tour, called my husband from the tour. And I was like, can I do this? And I know I'm supposed to be making money, but I'm actually wanting to take out a student loan instead. Oh, my husband is so great. He goes, do you really want to do this? I said, I really want to do this. And he goes, then you have to do it. We'll figure it out. And I was like, really? I can't back out? you were kind of my last line of defense. If I can't back out, that means I have to do it. But I'm so glad that he was supportive of me, because I never want to tell this story as if I was ever asking permission. It's not like that. It's more like he was the last line of defense for me to believe the lies I'd been telling myself of why I can't do it. And so if he said, nah, we really gotta, if he echoed the fears I'd already had, it would have been done and over with. Okay, well, then he must be right. I must be right about it. We can't do it. But he didn't. Okay, he didn't. He said, do it. And so I did it. And a year later, I graduated with honors, and I've been doing it ever since. But the reason I tell that story is because once I kind of got into all of the hypnotherapy stuff, well, really that moment where the voice was like, why can't you? Before I'm sure heard that voice before when it was like, move to California, like your husband's there, your kids are there, move to California, that sort of thing. But it was never really that apparent where I felt, okay, I shouldn't do this, but why not? And then once I started hypnotherapy, I learned what that voice actually was. It could have been my soul. It could have been my higher wisdom. It could have been my intuition. It could have just been a small part of my subconscious that was like, it's okay, it's safe. But I doubt it. I think the louder part was my subconscious telling me to keep safe, telling me to stay in the box that I had been in, because that's what it knew would keep me alive. And anything outside of that box, whether it makes sense to your conscious mind or not, is dangerous, is a threat to you. And so it's going to do whatever it can to keep you safe based on what it knows will keep you safe. And then also, so when I started on this journey and I realized it is a can of worms, because you learn about the power of the mind. You learn about subconscious programming, which means you learn about advertising and commercialization of everything and consumerism. And then you learn about how crappy our food is. And then you like, it's just such a snowball effect. Once you open the box, it's like, oh, it's too much knowledge. Right. But I was eager for it all. And so, yes, there was a moment, I think, if I had given into that subconscious programming that said, nah, you should just do the responsible thing, then I would never know what it feels like to do what I'm doing now. And again, now on the flip side, doing what I do now, it is a snowball effect where I was like, what else can we do? What else can we do? How else can we use this superpower? So, that's a very long answer, but yes, it was almost like a flip of a switch because I chose that moment to listen to the part of me that was expanding, that wanted to expand, instead of listening to the part that just wanted to stay safe. And in my case, small and just getting by. I don't think I would have survived very long. Not literally, but like mentally. I think I would have just gone absolutely crazy if I had to just stay in the same situation. And that's one of the things that a lot of people can maybe relate to is like, you will move once the discomfort becomes so big that you can't hold still anymore. And that, I think, for me was that moment. And if I didn't have my son, I don't know if I would have had that moment either. I credit my first child 100% for being like, I'm going to come down there and you're going to get it together and you're going to actually follow your dreams because I'm coming to this planet to help you do that. And I'd love to sit here and say that I would have done it anyway, but I truly don't know if I would have because I had 8 years. I had 8 years to do it, you know? So the discomfort of leaving him was enough for me. And for everybody, it's different. Whatever that threshold is, that was mine.
Yeah, I think we do need that thing that really finally pushes us over the edge, but it also speaks to timing, who knows
Absolutely.
what have happened if you tried to do it before that time.
Oh my God. That's actually another. Okay. Can I tell you the weirdest part about this whole thing? So once I graduated, I actually started working at the Institute in the distance department, helping the distance education students. And once I got the job, I looked up my name in the database. Oop, I did. I looked up my name just to see what they said about me while I was a student. And I had 2 profiles. I had one under my married name, Linnsey Gutierrez, and I had one under my maiden name, Linnsey Robinson. Apparently, in 2005, after I read this Michael Newton book, I filled out an application for the distance department a year before I moved to California. And mind you, by this point, this was 2013. So from 2004 to 2013 or 2005 to 2013 is how long it had been since I had filled out that application. They had my Michigan address, my Michigan phone number back when I still lived in Michigan. And I did the thing where you fill out the application and then they call you to talk about it and you just don't answer. They did that thing. I did that thing. And so the notes were like, called twice, no answer, da, 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 da. And I was like, I'm literally sitting in the office that I had called 9 years prior. What? That was just, for me, it was like, there's no question. And again, this is a different institute. This is not the Michael Newton Institute that I was going to go to. This is a different place. And I found it twice. So yes, timing is everything. My soul was like, it's okay. She'll get there. It'll take her 8 years, but she'll get there.
Yeah. And that's, there's so much that you have talked about that kind of touches on parts of my story recently around like getting my physical space ready because it's taken longer than I expected. And I've had to keep reminding myself like the timing is happening how it's supposed to happen. And also I've had so many moments of fear and doubt and uncertainty. And I even had to say to my mom, never echo my fears. Like if I come, because, I have this relationship with my mom. We're so close, but sometimes she can like take on what I'm feeling and just like amplify it. And so I'm like, if I'm ever doubting or wanting to back out or change my mind, I need you to be like, no, you can do this. Like you're meant to do this. And so having those people, and she believes it too. Like she wouldn't just say it if she didn't believe it.
I don't need them to believe it. I just need them to be convincing, right? Like you don't even have to believe it. Just please don't make me feel like you're lying to me.
Yeah.
Because I'll believe it, right?
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, it's so important to surround yourself with people who know how to support you because no matter how much we trust ourselves, love ourselves, back ourselves, we're going to have those moments when we're doing something really scary. And we sometimes just need someone to say, you can do this.
Absolutely.
I support you. So yeah, just be discerning sometimes with who you're sharing your wildest, scariest dreams with.
I'm going to tell you a little secret. Don't tell anyone, listeners. Okay. Don't. Shh. Okay. So this morning I made a money bowl, right? And it's at the time of this recording, it's 11:11. And I thought about sending it to so many people and then decided not to, because I was like, it's not like I don't want to share, but I also want to be very protective, I guess, of my, not just my practice, but the energy that I put into it. And I think, there are some people who can go on social media and share all about what they do, and that's great. And I might get there someday, but at this moment in my life, in my experience, I am just being very protective. And so what you just said makes perfect sense. Like, I think all of us, depending on our situation and who we are surrounding ourselves by, you are the sum of who you surround yourself by, right? And so if you are feeling like there's something you need to keep close and protect it, listen to it. And it's not like anyone has any ill will. It's just it convolutes things, and it makes your direct intention a little bit more scattered if it's getting scattered everywhere. So there are some things you can just blast at the top of the roof. There are some things you should just keep close to yourself, and only you will know what those things are. But yeah, just to illustrate what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even need to know why you feel like you want to keep it close to yourself. Like,
Right.
it's just about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Sometimes I go to share something about the space and I start to feel this resistance
Yes.
or frustration or anxiety. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait.
I
Like,
almost pressed send and I was like, something's telling me not to. It can
mhm,
feel very like, you'll know.
exactly. Have you always had that relationship with yourself where you trusted yourself and just knew how to listen to yourself?
No, no, but I would say, like, I think that as long as I can remember, I've always just been my only chance.
Mhm.
Like, without getting too deep in, I learned very early on that I couldn't rely on anyone. Anyone. The adults around me let me down. Not even that I had expectations. I'm talking like, some of you will know exactly what I mean. The adults around me showed me they could not be trusted to keep me safe. And so I knew from a young age, like, you're it, girl. But it didn't necessarily feel bad because I don't really know any different. But I do know that as a younger person, it was more out of defiance. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it twice. It was like, it was ambition out of spite, I guess. And so when people would tell me, oh, it's never going to work out, you're never going to stay in California, you're going to go broke and move home, I'm like, okay, I'll show you. And I did. And I know that's a pretty, common thing. I've heard a lot of people are like that, where they will do it. You tell me I can't do it and I'll do it anyway. But now it's more of like the same feeling of like, I am all I have, but like, it's such a nicer, more nurturing. I do have people now in my life that I can lean on, that I can depend on, that I can ask for help if I need it. And I also know that I am capable, I am ambitious, I am resilient, and I can do anything I want because I am that girl. And I think, but here's the thing, we all are. We all are. I just I'm very happy with the way that my relationship to myself has changed, in the way that it's not out of spite or defiance anymore. I don't have to do good things for myself to prove to other people that I can do it. I can do good things for myself and have nice things in my life because I get to have them and I deserve them and I've worked for them and I've earned them. Um, and I'm worthy of them. And that's not to say you can only have good things if you earn it. We are all born worthy of it.
Mhm.
You just have to know that you are. And so that's kind of how it's changed over the course of my life. But I've never had a moment where I don't think I was ever the person that was like, uh didn't think I could do something. For me, it was always like, I know there's a way. I just got to figure out what the way is. There is a way. I just have to figure out what it is. And if you couldn't tell me at 20, you can't tell me now. If you couldn't tell me not to move at 20, you can't tell me anything now because I care even less about what you think.
Oh my God, same, same, same. And I feel like for me, it was a lot of my pushing and proving came from this need to be good enough and to prove that I
Mm-hmm.
was special or just had my shit together. And now it comes from this softer place of
Yes.
I just feel like this is what I'm meant to do. Like I just want to be my best self. I just want to show up the best I can. And
Yeah.
I just feel like that this is how like being ambitious and following these dreams is like what I'm meant to do. But it's like so I still am ambitious and do all the things, but like there's so much softness around the edges. Like I'm not coming with these with this like armor of like I'm gonna
Yes.
fight anyone
Right.
fight my way through this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, absolutely the same. It's nice. It's nice over here, isn't it?
It is nice over here. And well, one thing I want to ask you, when we were talking yesterday, you were commenting on how I was playing with my necklace and you asked me
Oh, yeah.
about my relationship with my voice and how that if I used to struggle with my throat and I told you a little bit about that story and my evolution with that and you touched on how you've had a little bit of a journey with your sharing your voice and speaking up as well. So I'm curious if this kind of
Mm.
into that in any way.
Yeah, probably. I think well, yeah. I oh, I don't know how this is going to come out, but I feel like I would have nope, there's no good way to say that. So here's what I'll say instead. I feel like every time I go on a podcast, I don't ever want to put anyone in a bad light. But the truth and the fact is, I grew up in a very unstable, dysfunctional home, and so what I was relating to you yesterday was that. Well, I asked you if you bit your nails, but you just clipped them very short. And I used to bite my nails, and so I recognize what it looks like. I used to always have my hands in my mouth, and that is a sign of vocal repression, not being able to express yourself, and I don't know. I do feel like that. A lot of my early childhood is not accessible to me in memory. So I don't really know any instance where I felt suppressed. I do know that I grew up with a lot of siblings. And so I was a middle child. And so there's a lot that gets like lost when you're a middle child. And now I have a middle child. So I'm like extra nurturing to him.
Mhm.
Poor guy. I get it. I totally get it. But it and then also obviously the environment that I grew up in was not conducive to a child in general, just a child being a child. And I look at my middle child now and I say, he is who when I see him being his weird self, which I love again, and his unique artistic creative self comes out, I say that's who I would have been if I was allowed to be the kid that I was. And so again, without any specific examples that I can think of, I think it was just this general feeling of like, just stay quiet, get through it. Once you're old enough, you can move. Like that's kind of how I got through it. Is like you can get out as soon as you can, and I did. But I think that yeah, as a kid, there was this underlying current of like just get through it. Don't even try. And so as an adult, it definitely is interesting that I chose a profession where I'm literally speaking. The podcast itself my podcast came about very reluctantly. It was actually Kelsey who pulled me into the podcasting thing. I got approached to do a radio show, and
Wow.
I'm a good talker, but I don't like a lot of attention. And so when he asked me like, would you want this show? I was like, oh no, nope. Interviews are fine. I'm good, one-on-one, but what the heck am I supposed to say on a radio show? Even if I have encyclopedias of knowledge, there's just something at the time, there was just something about like being in the spotlight that just freaked me out. So I asked Kelsey and I was like, do you want to do this with me? And she's like, Linnsey, there's no question. We're doing it. Stop it. We're doing it. And I'm so glad she did, because I have grown so much, as you've also related to me as well. There's something that happens when you are expected to show up and speak and work that muscle that was so hard for you to do before, that really just heals. It heals. And for me, the show started live. So there was no room for, let's go back and do that again. Like, oh my gosh, talk about getting thrown in the deep end. I put my foot in my mouth so many times, I'm sure, that I don't even care anymore. Whatever is going to come out is going to come out. And I think there is also something very healing in that as well, is just accepting who you are and not really not having a, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not caring if somebody else accepts you too, but also it's not about other people accepting you, because I truly believe when you show up authentic and when you show up your full self, oh my gosh, you will resonate with the right people in such a beautiful way that you never could if you were trying to put on a show or trying to be someone else. And so, yeah, let me put my foot in my mouth. Let me say the wrong thing. Let me try to make sense and hope that it comes out in a way that people can understand it.
Mhm.
Because I think that's how you find your people, you know? So, yes, long answer again, but I do think that it has been a journey to find my voice, and hypnotherapy definitely helps with that as well, because I had to. You know, again, when you have to do something, you never know what you're capable of until you have to do it, and then you realize, oh, maybe it's not the worst thing, and maybe this is actually really great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always kind of been like this, but I've leaned into it even more, like editing my podcast as little as possible because I think I think podcasts started as this medium to like really get to know someone and to
Yeah.
really see different layers and nuances and the imperfections. And I love that. I think that's something that some other social media platforms lack is just like the depth of who we are as humans. And some podcasts now, I feel like, I mean, I think there's something to editing and this isn't a judgment. It's just like sometimes some are very edited. And I think that when it comes to, I'm a big advocate for like slow living and mindful, intentional living. And I think that slow media is part of that. And so I think like
Yeah.
not editing the podcast as much and like leaving in the fumbling of the words and like one, it allows us to embrace our own messy imperfections more. And also it shows other people it reminds us that we're like all human. If we're always listening to podcasts where it's perfectly edited and no one's umming or thinking about their thoughts,
Yeah.
oh, they always sound so perfect and polished and know what to say, but it's like that's not the truth of it, you know? And so I think it allows us all to embrace our humanness even more. And that's allowed me to embrace my voice just exactly as it is even more. So I think embracing the imperfections and learning to do that even if it's not the most perfect or polished way
Yeah.
to produce things is really important, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and honest, when you're allowing that sort of raw flow, that's when some of my best nuggets come out, right? That's when some of the best stuff I've said. And I'm like, imagine if I had thought about the right way to say that, or curated it in some way and just not let it flow. Now, I can do that with speaking usually. I do have a hard time doing that, and I'm working on allowing that to happen in my writing, because I notice I do tend to edit myself when I write. So that's what I'm working on now, is trying not to filter myself when I'm writing. Um, because I was told by many people, actually, in many people I look up to in the spiritual space, they're like, have you tried automatic writing? I'm like, no, that freaks me out. I
Mm.
need to be able to know what I'm writing. And if I don't know what I'm writing, it scares me. But I'm trying to work on it, because it doesn't have to, right? Like, these things don't have to scare us. It's just another part, it's just another tool. But I feel like I have to edit it. So it's really challenging. It's really challenging, but we're working on it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love automatic writing because I think it is a way, and also automatic speaking, like that's
Mm,
helpful too. Sometimes when my like thoughts are getting even faster than I can write things down. Um, but yeah, just letting, because I think often when we do automatic writing, if we're feeling resistance to it, it's because there's something we're not admitting to ourselves.
right.
And there's like a truth that we are trying to avoid. Do you feel like that's true for you?
Um, Maybe. Yeah. I think that that's true. I honestly think that's true for everyone, because no one's ever done with this sort of thing.
Mm-mm.
I do feel like I've, for lack of a better phrase, beaten a dead horse with my shadows in a way. Like, what else could there be? I don't know. But I also would really love to, one of the other reasons I'm practicing it is yes, to learn more about myself and to bring it up and process it as we should, and also to channel through it. So I do feel like you channel, I feel like I channel, I feel like everybody has this ability to channel. And I know that when I say some of my most profound things, it may or may not be coming from me. Maybe it's coming from my higher self or the part of me that is connected to all that is. And sometimes with my clients, I'll say something. I'm like, why the heck did you say that? Because da 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 da. This is why it makes perfect sense. And I'm like, I don't know. And so I really want to hone that with writing, because I think, I mean, I've just seen some of people that I look up to be able to write pages of like this meditation insight that they had, and it's just a dream of mine. So yes, it's kind of a twofold practice that I'm in right now. But you know, who knows? I'm not afraid of it. That's for sure. I used to be afraid of what would come up, even just sitting in silence. Like, what am I going to think about? Assuming it would be my anxiety thoughts, my worst case scenario thoughts. But then I realized it doesn't necessarily have to be. What if I go quiet and I think of how great it can be? Like, why are we only giving attention to the negative? So I've come to a place where I'm not super afraid of what I discover. I just, I don't like not being good at stuff right away, you know?
I do know.
That's a human thing to say.
Yeah, but I think that I want to talk about the channeling piece because
Yeah.
that's so interesting. And sometimes it's not something that I actively
Right.
try to do, but
Right.
sometimes I'll say something and I'm like, I don't know how. I think also there's like a clair cognizance there.
Yep.
Like I'll say something, I'm like, I have no idea how I know that. I just like know it's true.
Mhm.
And so I'd love to hear about, I mean, maybe your experience with channeling or just your experience with your intuition and how that's developed over time.
You want to know how I really kind of came to trust my intuition? I just kind of decided one day. I did. I wish it would be so, like, it's
Yes.
really, for me it was not complicated. And let me be clear, when I get signs from the universe, I need it to be like a sign with a capital S. I need it to be something that slaps me right in the face that I can't deny. Like finding myself in the database 8 years later at the institute that I ended up going to, that for me is like, you cannot convince me I'm not sitting in the exact spot I'm supposed to be in. That for me was like, okay, let's go. If I ever doubted it for a second, that's the kind of sign I need. So there are moments where I say I do doubt sometimes. I do try to rationalize. I do try to logic myself out of it. But the way that I trust my intuition is because I kind of just decided one day that it didn't have to be complicated. What if it was easy? What if it was the first thing that came to my mind? What if when I'm pulling cards, I just let the card pick itself and I just trust that whatever comes is going to be great? And I think that allowed me to stop trying to control and stop trying to over rationalize everything and maybe overanalyze and overthink it. And that's really helped. Like I just pulled cards this morning, and it's easy now because I'm like, okay, well, that's my card for today. Like I don't have to be like, I just don't know. No, you do know. If anybody's questioning if they know or not, you do. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated. I want to play a game with, can I play a game with your listeners right now?
Yeah, please.
So if you guys are in a space where you can just sit and close your eyes just for a second, we're not going to do hypnosis at the moment. We're just going to sit and close your eyes. Okay. Now, if your higher wisdom or your soul, or maybe a spirit guide, had one message for you right now, what would it be? And do not it's the first thing that you think of. What is it? Okay. What was yours?
Mine was you're ready and it's going to be great.
Okay. Now, if I asked you any other moment of the day, if I went out and asked my husband right now, what do you think your spirit guide would say to you right now? He would probably answer point blank, but any person off the street might be like, I have no idea. What are you talking about? That's so weird. But you're already in a receptive space because you're listening to this podcast. And chances are you got something. Chances are you're also probably trying to decide if it's the right thing. And this is where I say, don't do that. Mine always says, relax, just relax. Stop getting so uptight about everything. That's what mine says. And right now mine is definitely like, just allow it to come, whatever your intention is, whatever your goal is, just allow it. Just allow yourself to receive it. Because if you're like me and you like to control everything, you have a real hard time receiving without going and grabbing it yourself. So that's always mine. But you always know. You can ask yourself this question many times a day. You can ask yourself right before you go to sleep. You can ask yourself right before you wake up. What would my higher wisdom want me to know right now? How do I want to feel today? And where can I find that feeling more? Just the best way to hone your intuition is just ask yourself more questions and actually listen to the answers without really judging it too much, because you are very powerful. If only you knew.
I mean, I could not agree more. And I think that the two biggest pieces I want to pick out of that is simplicity and trust. Like letting it be so simple, not overcomplicating it, not needing to like have all the answers and have the logic that like makes it make sense. Just letting it be simple and then trusting it, trusting yourself. Again, not needing to have the evidence. And I think that's something I've been really talking about a lot is like trust leads to trust. Sometimes we think like, oh, when I can't trust my intuition because like I hasn't proven to be true, or I can't trust that this will work out because I don't have the evidence. Well, if we're always waiting for that to come, then we're never going to do it. Like we just need to start with the trust, and then the trust builds on itself.
Here's a good question. Look back at your life at all the times your intuition was correct. Look back at all the times where you actually got the manifestation or avoided the manifestation that you now know wasn't good for you. Oh my gosh, if I had a nickel for everything I thought I wanted that I'm so glad that I didn't get, right? Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, and it doesn't come from when you start to nitpick the thought or when you start to overanalyze it or have anxiety around it. It really comes back to the simplicity of what it says right away. And for some people, it might not be that same, us being manifesting generators and having that sacral response. And also, I have my spleen defined. Because I think that everyone's intuition speaks to them in certain ways, and it can be different.
Yeah.
But I do think that you know how yours speaks to you, and it is simple. It's just your doubt and all the overcomplicating complication that you pile onto it that makes you disconnect from it. So you know what this is for you, even if it's different than how it is for us.
You know how they say like a frown takes more muscle in your face than a smile does? It's kind of the same with intuition. Like the amount of effort you put in to overthink it is so much more work than just accepting what comes to you, because that is more natural. That is the natural thing for a human to do. One of the few things you're born with is your gut instinct, your intuition. The other things are the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. So everything else that's inside that's telling you can't, or you're not worthy, or you never have enough, or whatever, is learned. That's all learned. Your intuition is the one thing you don't have to learn. It's there. It's just quiet. It's okay. You can practice. You can turn up the dial and make sure that it gets louder. Mine was a whisper. The first time that I knew what it was. Looking back, it was a whisper, and it will get louder. And now it's just a part of me. I also think that my intuition was really kind of more welcomed and awakened once I kind of deepened my connection with my inner child. Something about that healing of my inner child and like bringing her into the fold, and like now it's me and her against the world forever. I don't have a daughter. She's my daughter. Like I will protect her to the death. I will go mama bear completely. And now that I have kids, it's easier to be like, no, she's my kid too. She's mine. But I think there's something about that healing of what being the person I needed, right? They say be the person you needed when you were a kid. Being the person I needed when I was a kid really kind of allowed me to give myself permission for all of it, for the intuition, for the channeling, or for the showing up fully as myself in my business. Even the first couple of years of my business, they tell you, wear your name tag, don't bring yourself into the room, very stoic, like a therapist, right? It's a very clinical process. And I just wasn't really on the surface, I wasn't really seeing the kind of business that I wanted. And so I just thought, I saw all these at the same time. I was kind of going online, and I saw all of these, coaches and whatever, just kind of being themselves. And I was like, that's really attractive. What if I just tried that? It goes against everything I was taught, but what if I did? And luckily it worked. And I think that all happened around the same time, which was my inner child work, and me really kind of embracing the fact that I pull cards for my clients, and that I am an intuitive, and that I can probably tell you things that you don't know that I know. And I don't know how I know, but it took me a minute to really kind of embrace all of that, but it all happened at the same time. And I think not one of them could have happened without the other. But it just unfolded in a beautiful way. But the trigger, I think, was allowing my inner child to kind of be part of it, because that gave me, I don't know, gave me permission, or allowed me to feel like I wanted to show up more authentically in a more playful way. Because before it was like, no, be clinical, wear your name tag, don't tell anybody about yourself. But there's a middle ground to everything. And I think you just have to find yours.
Yeah. And I think that connecting to your inner child also helped you learn who you are now even more. And I really think that, yes, sometimes I say, like, I learn the rules so I can break the rules. Like, I revere my teachers and all my different modalities, but now I take them all and I do my own thing. And I think that, again, it comes back to trusting ourselves and being confident in ourselves, and not playing it safe, and being like, okay, I'm going to have the courage to do this in my own way, and to trust my intuition
Yes.
on this path. And that's when things really line up. Because if you are sticking to the rules so exactly, you're following someone else's path, and that's never
Absolutely.
actually going to get you where you want to go.
Absolutely. Just today with my money bowl, like I just put what I felt was cool in it, and what I felt attached to. And it's, everyone's should look different. Every practice you have, every manifestation practice, what works for one person is not going to work for you. And it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're a different person. And so the fun part is you get to figure out how to make it your own, and how you get to bring yourself into it. And that's really where the magic is,
Yeah, and this is something we touched on right before we started recording, how we both have had this experience where, a lot of times in my certain modalities that I do, like yoga therapy and herbalism, people come to me looking for tips on weight loss or back pain or all these kinds of things. And yes, I can help. I mean, I don't do weight loss point blank, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Same.
Um, yeah, yes, I can help people with those kinds of more physical things, but my passion lies in helping people reconnect to themselves, their intuition, their truth. And so I lean more into that. And I am more intuitive and spiritual in my work. And I've had to give myself permission and confidence to do that. And also to be okay not being for everyone. And you have also touched on how you've been more into the spiritual hypnotherapy and like the different realms that has taken you down. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about that, 'cause I find it so interesting.
Yes. Okay. So this is where I get really excited. I like geek out on this stuff so hard, because it's just so much fun to like watch someone's face when they realize they are connected to their soul and their spirit guides. So spiritual hypnotherapy is really anything connected with your spirit. So we do, sometimes people will ask to hone their psychic abilities, or like enhance their intuition, or their inner voice. Some people will just want to meet their spirit team. Some people will want to go on a soul journey, where we go to a past life or a future life even, or a in-between life. And I can explain what those are if you want, but it's just the process of the past, present, future in between, all that stuff, where your soul goes when we die, that sort of thing. And then like I've had people come to me, and I still put this under the umbrella of spiritual hypnotherapy, where they're like, I had a client a couple of years ago who had recently lost her dog. It's like her best friend, and she just wanted to make sure he was okay. And so we went into hypnosis and we brought the dog, and the dog showed up, and she got that closure that she wouldn't have had otherwise. And the amount of healing that I was able to witness in that session was just incredible. Other times, if it could be a loved one, it could be, if I say we're going to go see your spirit guide, sometimes it's your grandpa, sometimes it's, somebody that has passed that just is hanging out with you. And so it's a beautiful, it's all beautiful. It's all healing. It's incredible to witness. And it's my favorite thing, hands down, my favorite thing to do, my favorite type of work to do. And with that comes, we'll do spirit team. We'll do inner sanctuary, which is another kind of spiritual hypnotherapy, where you are just kind of creating your own inner sanctuary that you can go to anytime. And the cool thing about hypnotherapy, if I leave you with one thing about hypnotherapy, if it happens in your subconscious, it happened. So if you go into hypnosis and we access your higher wisdom, and you play around in the reality of you getting your goal and having the relationship or having the money or having the house or whatever it is that you are working toward, if you train your subconscious that is what's happening. And when you're in hypnosis, we're accessing the subconscious. So just so everybody's clear, if it happens in the subconscious, it happened. That is the whole point. The reason you've ever achieved any goal is because it happened in your subconscious first, because your subconscious signed off on it and got a green check mark. Okay, go. And you are always churning out goals based off of what your subconscious believes is safe. Now, I say that to say this around spiritual hypnotherapy. If healing occurs in hypnosis, it has occurred, period. So if your healing occurs in meeting a loved one that has passed, or healing a relationship where you never got to say goodbye and the person is still alive, you have this experience in hypnosis, you get that healing, you sever the ties or whatever it is you need to do to move forward. It has happened. You are a different person now, for the better. It's just very powerful, and it's very, it is, I'll say it again, it's very incredible to just be a part of and to witness somebody's transformation like this, because it's so beautiful. Life is hard, and this is just one way to make it a little easier, I guess.
Wow. I'm like, wow, I want to do this.
I said so much. I know I said so many things, but I could talk all day about, I mean, really anything, but especially about spiritual hypnotherapy. It's incredible.
It sounds so amazing. I genuinely feel so interested in learning more for myself personally. And I know that you have different ways people can work with you, and you recently created a new app.
Yeah.
That's a whole other rabbit hole we didn't go down, but I'm just
No.
of that, and I think that's amazing. So please just share with everyone.
Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with me or connect with me in any way, I'm really usually most active on Instagram and TikTok, just my name, Linnsey Robinson. I'm working on transitioning my website, so you can try to go to linnsey.robinson.com, but I don't know where you'll land at this moment or whenever this airs. But if you just find me, just search Linnsey Robinson, you'll find something to click on, I'm sure. I do have an app, and it is called Align Your Mind, and it's really all my hypnotherapy digital audios. I have EFT sessions, card pulls. I do live events every month where we do like a group session around hypnotherapy, and there's a different theme each month. So like last month we did shadow work. The month before that, I've done ancestral healing in those lives. I've done gratitude and divine timing, there's all different kinds of themes, and the replays are all available in the app as well. And it's just a really fun time. So again, if it happened in the subconscious, it happened, and it will change you in a good way. So if you want to check out any of those audios, there's all kinds of them. Or if you want to work together with me personally, there's options for that too. But yeah, let's play. It's fun.
And I hope one day maybe you'll come to upstate New York and do a little work.
Oh my gosh.
Sort of
Could
collaboration.
you imagine me in the spotlight in live person? I don't know, man. We'll see.
That would be amazing.
But we will have tea together. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Just to hang out would be A plus. Being intuitively wild means connecting to your true self and living dedicated to who you are at your core, no matter what. How do you feel like you live intuitively wild?
Oh, how do I feel like I live intuitively wild? I mean, I made a money bowl today. I water my plants with moon water. I pull cards for myself almost daily. I cleanse. I guess it would really just be I feel like I live through or I embody it through my practices. And for me, I think it has to be a practice because if I don't physically practice, it's hard to remember to keep it up. So sometimes before bed, I'll just say like, do a little gratitude and I'll check in with my guides and I'll be like, all right, let's go. I'll see you in my dreams kind of thing. And then when I wake up, I'll sometimes get an intention and say a little bit of gratitude as well. As somebody with a busy brain, it's hard, but that's why it's practice, right? It's not supposed to be easy and automatic. So being mindful, not just with myself and checking in with how I'm feeling daily, minutely, but also checking in with my kids and making sure that they are experiencing as much as they can experience it with me as a mom. So I guess, I think it could be a huge list. I went blank for a sec because there was what should I say first? But yeah, burn some sage, light some incense, talk to your guides. They're around you. Know that you are capable and so freaking powerful. It really boggles my mind that there are people walking on this planet that have no idea. Like they have no idea what they're capable of. Mm-hmm. Call me, please. I'll help you.
And I think one thing to really take away from that is the embodiment of it. And I think for people who can be overthinkers or perfectionistic or just all of us who can get caught up in the noise of the world, we can forget, And I think that just having those practices that allow us to remember and reconnect and come back to the core of who we are and that essence, that is what will ground us time and time again. So you have to do sometimes the practices that allow you to remember your power.
Yeah, I will tell you two things. One, whenever I feel the most adrift or like scattered or unsure or confused or everybody knows chaotic in the mind, it's always because I stopped or paused my practices. It's always because of that. I can draw a direct line every single time from when I feel the most disconnected to when I'm not doing my stuff. And then also the other thing that I wanted to mention to people who, if you're like me, when I first started deciding what I wanted to do in terms of like how I wanted to stay connected and ground, you go through all kinds of methods. People have all kinds of things. There's tons of methods and practices you can do, but to find your right one, well, for me, I wanted to complicate. I was like, it has to be an hour every day, and that's too hard, so I might as well not do it. I promise you, if you just light an incense and just give yourself any kind of affirmation, like, I am open to receiving today. I'm becoming a more authentic version of myself. I am grounded to the earth. I'm connected. My favorite is I'm connected. I am safe. I am loved. You could even say I'm in control if you want to, if you're that type of person, because I do that sometimes as well. And you will have bad days. Okay. Please believe. I don't care who you are on this. I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama. I don't care if you're Oprah. I don't care who you are. You will have days where you feel incapable of getting out of bed. You will have days where getting something to eat feels too hard. We came here to feel it all, okay? And the pendulum will swing the other way. This could be a whole other episode. I really want to I really want to impart on people, like, there's no point on your human journey where you will be perfect. You will have bad days. You will feel like crap. It's how you move through those moments. I like to say we're improving the shocks on the car. We're not removing the bumps in the road or the potholes, but you will feel them less and you will be able to navigate them less by finding things that you enjoy doing to ground yourself, to stay connected and to stay connected to your authentic self and your higher wisdom. We got to do another episode because there's so much I have to say, but I think that's important to know for now.
I agree we should do another episode because clearly we could talk forever. And this is how it was yesterday.
It can be so simple. Just light a candle and be like, here's how I want to feel today. Thank you, guides. And then let it be that 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes. You don't have to do it for an hour like I thought I had to.
Exactly. Lindsey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.